Hi again. I'm Belle Ruth Napperstack. I'm a clinical social worker and the founder of Health Journeys, which is a company that produces all kinds of mind body recordings, hypnosis, guided imagery, meditation, relaxation, mindfulness, breath work, yoga, and we apply a lot of these techniques to specific health or mental health conditions. So as a result, we get a lot of questions about the meeting ground of how the condition might interact uh, with, with the technique. So this is a touching question from a social worker who works with kids named Christopher. At least that's what I'm calling him. So he writes, I'm looking for guided imagery for an 8-year-old girl who is now living with her grandparents. Her mother is severely mentally ill. This child suffered traumatic experiences while in her mother's care. She's been doing fairly well now with her grandparents. They love her very much. But a recent incident in which she was almost hit by a car while bicycling has set her back. Her uncle yelled to warn her, and her reaction to that was complete panic and withdrawing from any interaction with the family. So he's asking for some suggestions as to what she might be able to listen to that could help her come out of this trauma trance that she's in. So he writes, thanks in advance for any suggestions you may have. So my response was, hi, Christopher, and I try to state the obvious just in case. Sometimes if you're a therapist, something is so obvious to you, you don't ask it or suggest it, and it's needed. So don't be insulted if I just say the obvious here. So Christopher, I take it that her uncle has spelled out to her that he was yelling because he was so scared she'd get hurt. And he could see how it could have sounded angry or might have made her feel like she was doing something bad or wrong, but he was just freaked out of love for her and fear of losing her. So if something like that doesn't trip easily off this uncle's tongue, then I would suggest maybe another family member could spell that out to her and let her know that it's understood that it might take time for her to recover from such a scary event and that she can take all the time she needs. And I assume that aspect has been covered in one fashion or another. But as I said, I had to say it anyway, just in case. As for some imagery for her, I think it partially depends on her intellectual and linguistic level and her level of sophistication about feelings. It can vary so much with 8-year-olds, you can't believe it. So an 8-year-old, a perfectly healthy, normal 8-year-old, could respond much better to something for a 5 or 6-year-old, or an adult something could be just fine. So it's hard to say. Some of these audios that I'm going to suggest could be too babyish for her, insultingly so, and some could be over her head. I just don't know, and I assume, Christopher, that you do or the family does. So that said, my go-to, I love it, is Magic Island by Betty Mailing. It's a wonderful kids audio. Gives them a sense of mastery and empowerment and confidence, and just feeling more like they can master something difficult. So I like Magic Island a lot. I like equally an audio called, a little meditation called I Am the Sky. I like the sound of that anyway. I am the sky. That's a wonderful, also empowering, confidence and mastery building guided meditation for kids. And again, the age around 8 would probably be fine, especially an 8-year-old who's had some trauma, because she wouldn't probably feel it was too babyish. There's also something she might like for a little older level by Melissa Dormoy. She has something called Relaxed and in Control, which also gives kids this skill building set for being more confident and less frightened. So my suggestion to Christopher was just go to these pages, listen to the sound samples. They're a good 2-3 minutes, and you'll definitely get a feel for what these are like, and if the narrator is speaking in too babyish a voice or just right. She also might respond well to something less verbal and more active, like some of the yoga for kids offerings we have. That's wonderful for a kid who would just get fidgety and irritated by guided meditation. There's also a somatic experiencing protocol that adjusted for kids that could be great for her. It's really about felt sensation in the body, using both imagery, but recalling just felt sensations, which is sometimes a little bit less threatening than words, especially with trauma. So, but it's a specialized technique that would require a certificate-trained professional who has studied either with Peter Levine or somebody who's worked with him. He invented this technique called somatic experiencing, so I suggested that too. So, any of those, and best wishes to Christopher and the family he's been serving, and this little girl especially. Thanks.